Fadal.
Question I had was that I noticed that the chapter headings, the numbering goes from 9 to 12. Is there a reason for that?
What's the reason, Muhammad Ahmed?
Chapter headings are taken from Sahih Muslim.
In other words, things are missing. And Muslim, there's go from 9, 10, 11, 12. But because the hadiths are based off of what's agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim, the compiler, Sheikh Muhammad Fuad Abdul Baqi, he kept Muslim's numbering, but obviously if the hadith is in Bukhari, and the chapter heading is going to be missing as well. So he'll just go from whatever number till when it meets up again. Understood? Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadal ya akhi.
So if a person tries his best to seek knowledge, but he's not able to reach his ambition, how is it that the sincere intention will take much further than your actions do?
Tell you, Allah's earth is spacious. How much land is there? Things don't work out for you here in Queens with me, with this one, that one. Leave New York City. How big is New York State? How many masjids are there? Right? If you have sincere intentions to benefit and to learn, you'll find someone. You'll find a teacher. You'll find teachers. You'll find a university. Trust me. You'll find someone that will accept you and take you in and give you the Islamic knowledge. Do you know how many graduates there are from different universities? You know this one, you know that one. You know how many people are off the radar? You never even heard of them. He graduated from Medina this year and that year. He's in this community. He's in this place in upstate New York. That's just New York City, let alone other states within the United States, let alone Canada, let alone. So if you have the sincere intention to benefit from ilm, and you work hard, and as Allah tells us in the Quran, you enter the home through its front gate, you'll find what you're looking for and more. Be honest with Allah, Allah will be honest with you. Inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu alam. Father Idris.
What is the ruling on entering a paid raffle, whether it be for charitable causes or
A raffle a person should stay away from. As far as if the raffle is for something of charity, I wouldn't advise with it as well. And only Allah knows, is all of the money going to the charity? For sure. There are expenses, things have to be paid, and that's going to be a problem. A person is paying something, definite loss, with possible gain. And that in itself is gambling. So that's to be stayed away from, even if it's for a charitable cause. And the Muslims, they should, they should use their minds, their talents. There's so many different ways of raising money. So many different ways of raising money, different types of fundraisers for charities. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Wa iyyakum. Fadal akhi.
You mentioned that for a woman to be married off to someone, in order for the qadi to marry her off, she would need 2 witnesses. Who qualifies as a witness?
Understood. We mentioned that no, we said, some scholars, not all, they say that the qadi should not marry off a woman until he has testimony from 2 just witnesses that she doesn't have another wali that she's trying to bypass, or she's not in the iddah, etc., etc., etc. Who qualifies as a just witness? A just witness, adil, is a man who is practicing Islam. He's outwardly practicing Islam. He isn't an open public sinner. And of course, if we know more about him in his personal life, then that's even better. Okay? With regards to equity, adala, zahira and batina. But at least we know him for good. His personal secret life, Allah knows best. Right? He doesn't have to be perfect, but he cannot be someone who's openly making a major sin, and nor can he be someone who's continually making a minor sin in public. He's mutamassik, holding fast to the deen. So, of course, in 2022, once again, this is a big problem with the world today. So many people don't qualify as being adil. There are many acts of sin that people practice publicly, even if they're not evildoers or wrongdoers. This is normal in my culture, but it's haram in the sunnah. It's a major sin to do this. I'm sure you can think of tens of examples, whether it be hijab or the beard or all types of things that people do that's normal stuff. And technically in an Islamic court, what? He cannot represent. He cannot bear witness. He cannot testify. because has public open mukhalafa, right? So that's a problem. I remember in Medina, I asked one of my teachers this question with regards to shaving of the beard, and does the rule still apply? Because shaving of the beard that's the sunnah now, right? Growing the beard is the bid'ah. You know, you're weird and extreme, or you're a terrorist, even better, if you have a full beard, especially your beard is long. So I mean, you do this and that's a fact. And to have a clean shaven face, that's the way of the people. Most Muslim men, unfortunately. Anyone who represents Islam, a country, a people, whatever, a spokesman is going to be what? Not shaving the thread. You know, when they pull out the hair, his face is like a baby's behind. Smooth, polished. No hair on the face whatsoever. Right? That's the sort. And if not, then at least a big mustache. That's the norm. So how many fathers and mothers and brothers and this and that would come and bear witness for or against someone in front of the qadi, and that's a problem. So I said, Sheikh, does that apply? Sheikh, the professor, he told me, and may Allah have mercy on him, he passed away. He's one of my best teachers in Medina, alhamdulillah, a teacher that I benefited from tremendously. And he taught me muharrar, alhamdulillah, several times. What's important is, that yes. He said this. He says in Saudi, he says the judge, he says, even to the, I said, are you sure, Sheikh? Like, he said, nah, that's hard to believe. It's hard to accept. In which, if that was the case, the qadi would say, who would he get for a witness? Right? Rather, the girl's father that you're about to marry, he himself is what? Can he be the wali? Can he be the guardian? Nah? Let alone other sins that are public, that are normal, because of the spread of secularism and other problems that have spread among the Muslims. So it's a mushkila. Who is considered to be a just witness, right? So therefore, the just witness should be someone that's outwardly practicing Islam, and you shouldn't diverge from that unless there's absolute need. Are there brothers who have beards but still lie and drink and smoke and cheat and steal and rob and kill? Yes, unfortunately. All right, some of the best criminals are what? Good brothers, unfortunately. Are there Muslims who have shaven faces who are truthful and honest? No doubt about that. Upright individuals. They work hard, they take care of their family, they don't bother anyone. But just shave my beard. So that's another problem. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Wallahu alam. طيب, any other questions? Go ahead, Akhi. Wa yakum.
If a person is in a situation where he's not yet able to provide for a wife, is he still allowed to get married? Because it seems like the brother from the Hadith Sahabi could not find anything to even give for mahar.
Let alone provide for her.
Yeah.
Right. Excellent point from the hadith. We didn't get that far yet. One could benefit from this hadith, the permissibility for a poor man to get married. And of course, that is with the consent of the bride, the girl, the woman, and her family. And of course, there are other fawaid from that hadith. I mean, we didn't go there that far, the virtue of the Quran and how that is supreme in Islam. You have knowledge of the deen, you have a connection with the book of Allah, all will be settled. Allah will provide for you, you'll find an opportunity, trust me. You'll be forced. But you have no deen, or poor deen, or weak deen, you can have money, you can have this, you can have that, right? What's important is the Prophet ﷺ, he married off the man who barely had a waist. He didn't have a rida. All here was an izar. He didn't even have a top part, right? Like the two-piece ihram, the rida. He didn't even have that. Just imagine that now. I'm that poor, I have nothing else. If I give her, I'm naked. And the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't say you can't marry her, how are you going to provide for her, how are you going to feed for her, but he said what? Find something, give her some type of benefit. So that hadith clearly proves the permissibility for a pauper to get married, right? Now, and obviously, why is a person a pauper? Why are you poor? Are you poor because you're in the masjid all day, every day, praying and fasting? Or are you poor because you're just, too lazy to get a job? Or you have pride, or you quit, or whatever, right? It's different reasons. You get what I'm trying to say? Let alone how the Sahaba lived, how we live, things are different, right? The wealth is abundant. Opportunities are abundant. It's no reason why a person should be starving and hungry here in the United States, why you can't get a job. No matter what you have to do. You get what I'm trying to say? Selling newspapers, doing whatever you got to do to hustle. Everyone understand this? So if a man comes up and he wants to marry your daughter in 2022 in New York City, he has no job, he's dirt poor. Something in most cases is what? Check. Why don't you have any money? Oh, I'm just, chilling. You going to school? No. You studying knowledge? No. You got a job? No. I live home with my mom. Okay? What are you doing in life, son? How are you going to take care of my daughter? Basic stuff, not no extravagant, what are you going to do? Something's off. Wallahu alam. But if a person is on that level of piety and zuhud and abstinence from the dunya, etc., that's a different story. But keep it real, though. Wallahu alam. Fadl akhi.
You mentioned that 500 dirham is the good amount. Is that conscious?
We didn't get there yet. Yeah, we didn't get there yet. Fadl Ahmed.
In regards to the hadith that discuss the permissibility of having pictures in your home, is that limited to paintings and drawings, or as well as photographs and drawings?
Well, the Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, he said those noble words over 1,400 years ago, in which the ability for people to make images or pictures has evolved. People always painted, people always sculpted, people always would draw and scratch. That's old. On the caves, the walls, that's old, super old. But photographs, video cameras, different types of digital illustrations, etc. So some scholars say that these new modern means apply, and others say they don't apply. And some scholars even who say that it's lawful to take a photograph, they say is not to be hung on the wall, period. You can't hang it on the wall at all. Even though it's nothing wrong with it, it's not haram. So it should be avoided. Having pictures hanging up in your house should be avoided, pictures of living creatures, living souls. As far as keeping the pictures on your phone or photo album, etc., perhaps that's a different discussion. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Inshallah, anything from online?
MG Atlanta, Georgia. From your experiences, what is
Next question. We will not answer any questions from the likes of this individual with those initials from the likes of that city. Fadal.
Muhammad K. from Jersey, New York. Is laser here?
Next question.
Okay. JL from Dallas, Texas. I heard wearing trousers which exceed below your ankles is haram. Is it a sin to wear regular trousers if you don't fold it up from the bottom? Is this a sin?
In brief, to keep things simple, summarize the answer, it's haram for a man to have his pants beneath his ankles while standing. That's a brief answer. The detailed discussion, we've explained that many times in many classes, what the ulama say about that issue. My brief answer is that yes, it's haram. The trousers cannot go beneath your ankles while standing. Laying down, pajamas, different story. Standing up, they're not allowed to go beneath your ankles unless it's an extreme situation, such as a snowstorm or something like that. Wallahu alam.
Question from brother Ilyas.
Ilyas who? Huh? Whose fault is it that he didn't come? His or yours? Huh? I can't hear you, Ahmed. You sure?
I didn't tell him it was class earlier enough.
Tayyib. We'll take the question. Fadal.
What's better for the student of knowledge, qiyam al-layl or seeking knowledge?
What's better for the student of knowledge, qiyam al-layl or seeking knowledge? Do both if you can. If you can, do both. A bit of this and a bit of that. For argument's sake, there's not enough time or isn't enough energy, or for argument's sake, no doubt, seeking extra ilm is more virtuous than extra prayer. And this has been explained in detail. Many books and different sessions. I would, among many works, Ilyas, Urshiduka, I would guide you to Adab al-Alim wal-Muta'allim. Nawawi's book that we've introduced and shown, the etiquette of the learner and the master. He has a chapter in that book in which he speaks about this issue in detail. Wallahu alam. Fadal, Talib.
Does praying Isha count as late at night count as Qiyam al-Layl? And also, in order to pray Qiyam al-Layl, do you also have to pray the Sunnah after Isha?
Prayer at night, what's meant by Qiyam al-Layl is supererogatory, extra, outside of the 5. That's first and foremost. It isn't a condition in order for you to make the extra rak'at at night the Sunnah of Isha. It's not a condition. However, one shouldn't perform this while neglecting that. Wallahu alam. Wa yakum.
In your opinion, what is a good business to invest in?
A good business to invest in? My humble opinion? I would advise you to go outside of your house and walk around for maybe 10 or 20 block radius. Just walk around, 10, 20, 20. Just walk around. And make a list in your head or on a piece of paper how many times this business came up and that business came up. How long has this been here? How many generations this place is in? So on and so on and so forth. Something off the top of my head, just the top of my head, a pizza parlor. You ever been to a major city in the U.S. without a pizza parlor? Any borough, anywhere you go, right? How long has that pizza place been there? The grandkids are there, right? Who used to make the pizza for you back in the day, he's dead. Second, third generation, et cetera, et cetera. Certain things just don't go out. This recession, this depression, Bitcoin, gas, this war, this invasion, they're the bad guys, they're the good guys. Always find what? It's a fact, right? And there are other businesses, what? In the hood as well that don't expire, huh? Which we aren't going to mention on the live stream right now. If you want to invest in a permanent business, huh? Allahumma musta'an. You guys get the point I'm trying to make. Right? Invest in something which in most cases is anchored down. Some businesses come and go. People can't afford this when prices are high. Only certain people shop at this mall when things are, but everybody goes here and does this. Everybody needs this, whatever that may be. Gas station, right? Parking lot. You guys get the point I'm trying to make. A laundromat, something that's a staple business that's good for you and allows you to manage it and get some income after 5 years, 10 years, etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam. We're done talking about hood economics, huh? As the poet said, what? He said all you need is good economics, huh? You don't need no real education, what? To know this, right? Keep your fit. Keep what the poet say? He said you need no real education to know you keep your business and personal what separated. That's basic aql, right? طيب والله أعلم. تفضل يا أخي.
I could add a good start would be to be able to differentiate between necessity and commodity.
For sure. A necessity versus a commodity, right? Something that people need versus they want. And some commodities, people like it so much as if it's like the pizza. But it takes some basic fiqh with regards to being an entrepreneur. Or if you're not an entrepreneur, if you just want to invest in someone else's business. Wallahu ta'ala. Jazakallah khairan. Khairan, so if there are no more questions, fadal.
What happens if there is a marriage and then a divorce and no walima was ever done?
A marriage and divorce without no walima has no effect on the validity of the divorce. We didn't get to speaking on the rulings of the walima yet, but for argument's sake, the walima is mandatory. That doesn't mean that the divorce is now invalid. The husband or the wife or whoever's fault it was while there was no walima, they sinned, they went against the command, and they have to move forward now. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
That's in Melbourne, Australia. Assalamu alaikum. What's the ruling on asking for donations in the masjid, especially when it's done frequently or on a weekly basis?
The ruling on asking for donations in the masjid, especially if it's done frequently, etc., etc. Excuse me. First and foremost, the first summarized point, a Muslim should avoid asking and begging. Many ahadith with regards to the dispraise of begging for money and asking for money. That's point number one. Point number two, it's permissible to ask if there is a need with conditions. Point number three, the masjid is supposed to keep its sanctity, its sakina. And the voices shouldn't be raised in the masjid so often or too often without a reason. Some scholars and some ulama even held the view that classes shouldn't be held in the masjid. Some held the view that ta'lim shouldn't be in the masjid, rather the masjid is for ibadah. Obviously that isn't the correct view. The khutbah is in the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ clearly raised his voice. You guys get the point I'm trying to make though, right? Buying and selling, calling out, who saw my donkey, who saw my camel, where's my mule, whose car is this blocking the fire hydrant, license plate TXX 30 such and such and such. None of that should be what? Should be done. Voting, this, that, this non-Muslim congressman comes into the masjid. Nah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. On Jumu'ah, on the day of Jumu'ah, the sacred, blessed day, Kafir, mushrik enters the house of Allah, he stands up, he gives a speech, he addresses and admonishes the Muslims why you guys should vote for me, so on and so forth. You guys get the point I'm trying to make, right? So anything which is unnecessary should not be done in the masjid. But the problem is, the masjid is and has become a place much more than just for worship. Oftentimes this is all we have behind these walls. This is our community. This is where we discuss our affairs, make plans, etc., etc. Or sometimes the truth hurts. If the masjid, if the people do not raise money and collect money, the masjid won't be ran. People won't pay the bills. The masjid won't function unless people are unfortunately reminded you have to give sadaqah. The masjid thrives off of your donations, let alone someone who's in need. There's a brother who's in need, a woman who's in need. So therefore, in brief, if it's a need, if it's a necessity, if it's done properly, if it isn't a means of annoying and bothering the people unnecessarily, then it's permissible. But it should not be taken as the normal sunnah, the norm, to beg, force the people over and over and over and over again, make announcements over and over again for money. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Can a sister attend a graduation ceremony in which you're going to shake hands with the dean, and there's going to be music with instruments and pictures? Sounds to me, and Allah knows best, this is a question for someone else, that someone is trying to get someone to listen to the answer. The question seems loaded with plenty of ammo. Shaking a man's hand, you're going to be recorded, they're going to be playing music, you're going to be. It sounds as if the question is loaded, right? And it seems that the answer is clear, or the answer that you're looking for should be clear, right? What's important is, I'll say this, once again, Muslims live in this society, right? You go to school, you study, you get a degree. What are you going to do? Not go to the graduation? My best friend, right? What is they on Instagram? They're going crazy. What do you mean you can't have a non-Muslim friend? That's right? In college, my best friend is a what? It's not Muslim. The people I play football with, basketball, they're what? Muslims. The guys we hang out in the gym, they're what? They're kuffar, right? My teachers and what do you mean? Is it realistic for you to go to school for 4 years, 2 years, with all of these kuffar buddies, and on the day of graduation, your piety and your righteousness is just going to, realistic age or not? Of course not. The Muslims are going to be taking selfies. They're going to be having fun. They want to celebrate their accomplishments just like the non-Muslims. So I would say for a person to have that type of piety and righteousness, in most cases, they're not even going to be in that situation. And for argument's sake, if they do go to college in person on the day of graduation, that Muslim is going to take the necessary precaution. Can I not walk down the aisle? Can I get my degree later on? Or he'll speak to the dean in private, no disrespect or offense, but I can't shake your hand, etc., etc. So the answer is clear. And the point I'm trying to get to is the Muslims are of what? There are different levels of Muslims. Everyone doesn't have the same understanding and practice and passion. Some Muslims are, like this. Some Muslims are, like that. So, if that's the deen that you're practicing, that's your level of observance and sunnah and obedience, then of course not. You're not going to go to that. Of course you're not going to shake a man's hand. Of course you're not going to be listening to instruments. Of course you're not going to allow people to be recording you. Of course you're not going to have makeup and high heels and tight clothes on. Of course not. You're not even going to be in that situation. Huh? Wallahu ta'ala alam. خيرا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد جزاكم الله خيرا.